Okay, this is Kate looking at the weekly Eurodollar chart, and just a few things I wanted to point out on this weekly chart. If we notice this 50 EMA, the price has held below this 50 EMA here for about 8 or 9 weeks. Finally broke above and then tested it last week. It was not able to go much further below the 50 EMA. As a matter of fact, it bounced hard out off of the 50 EMA and continued up. We have decently high volume. It's not ultra high, but it's high enough volume that gives me the indication that price will probably continue up. And this is a weekly chart. This is the weekly trend line, and I believe price wants to target the weekly trend line. Now when we switch to a daily chart here, we can see a few other things. We see an ABC to the upside, which should get the ball rolling to get the price closer to the weekly trend line up here. And if we do a Fibonacci retracement on that ABC pattern, we'll be able to find the target then, the exact target on this pattern here on the daily chart. Okay, so the actual target then on the daily chart, the ABC long pattern, is 44.16, and that seems quite a ways from where it is now. But of course we'll have some ups and downs along the way, and we may only get to the trend line before we, have a decent sized pullback. But then again, a lot of times what happens is price will spike through the trend line to the target and close back below the trend line in order to sell off a little bit. So in the longer term, I'm looking for price to go up and meet these targets. And each one of these FE levels are intermediate targets, with the 100 FE being the ultimate target. But of course we know the market moves in waves, and we most likely will have a pullback before we actually take off to the upside again. So let's look at the 4-hour chart then. And here's the 4-hour chart. We had a bull flag. Price broke above and closed above the upper trend line on the bull flag. We fibbed from this high to this low, and we see that price did close a bit below the 61.8. That indicates to me that there's a very good chance that this evening we'll pull back to the 36.44 50% level, or possibly even to test the trend line, and I'll be looking at buying at that point. Either at the 36.44, depending on what the lower time frames look like, the price action looks like at that time, or off of the trend line here. So, and then looking to take the 786 and the 100 Fibonacci retracements as immediate targets at that point, looking at the 4-hour chart. Now if we drill down to the 1-hour chart, we'll see that if the price retraces 61.8% of this last up move, that price corresponds with the trend line on the 4-hour chart. So here's the 1-hour chart, and fibbing from the most recent low to high, a retracement back to the 61.8 puts the price at 36.10. Okay, which is, let me bring up the 4-hour chart. Here's the 4-hour chart. That's real close to the trend line that price broke out of, and most of the time price will test the trend line once it breaks out above it. Okay, now if we only retrace to the 50% retracement on this 1-hour chart, we're looking at 36.30 area, which on the 4-hour chart is just a little below, a spike below this 50% retracement. So I will be looking to long this pair anywhere between the 36.44 and the trend line here, a test of the trend line on the 4-hour chart. So that is my thought for the Euro-dollar for this evening, and this is February 20th, 2011. And also, being that tomorrow the market, or it's President's Day, so things may be a little off-centered tomorrow, with U.S. having President's Day. So we'll have to see how things go tomorrow. Okay, so that's my take on the euro dollar, February 20th, 2011.